Yes, I was on crutches for 12 years before I came into the program. I was in an accident. I had been a police officer for almost 30 years, and an elderly man went through a stop sign and totaled my patrol car and me in it. And I had fractured 8 vertebrae in my neck and my back, smashed my hands, damaged my shoulder and my knee, and some of the nerves that I have that give alerts to the body seem to have been severed. So I was in pretty bad shape after the accident. Prior to that, in addition to being a police officer, I was always very physically active. I would say more than the average person. I love doing things with my body. I grew up on a farm. I'm still on a farm with my husband, and we raised our children there. I snowboarded, skateboarded. I was on a hockey team, and I coached hockey. I swam on a swim team. I ran every morning. I biked to work every day and back. I just loved doing things, physical things, and it was a very important part of my identity. I know when I was in the program, most of the other people I was in the program with had done either a physical job and gotten hurt on it, or even if they weren't in a physical job, they were used to being active, even if it was taking care of the home, doing all of the housekeeping and all of the cooking and raising the children. It was something where they had to be capable, and I was used to being very strong and capable. So not only was I physically injured, but the physical injuries, which initially meant that I couldn't do most of the things that I had done for most of my life, made me feel a withdrawal from other people and from other things, because I didn't feel like the things that had made me a person that I was proud to be, I couldn't do them anymore. And so I felt like a lesser person, I guess you would say. I didn't feel like I could be the same friend to my friends. And in myself, I didn't have the same self-confidence or respect for myself anymore. So I decided, well, I have these injuries. I'm going to see what I can do. I went to 10 workers' comp doctors, and they all said, don't do anything. I said, your injuries are serious. If you do them, you will risk paralysis. And that was a very scary thought. However, I just couldn't stand being physically inactive all the time. So against the orders of my doctors, I said, what can I do? Well, I tried to go back to the swim team, but although I could swim, it was very slow. I was not able to keep up with the other people. And the one thing I could still do is bicycle. So I lived out in the country. I bicycled into town every day. I ran my errands on my bicycle, and at least I had that. It was several hours a day of bicycling. And I still had farm chores to do. And I trained horses. I stopped doing that for other people, but I still had my own animals to take care of and so on. So I didn't feel it was fair to ask my husband to do all my stuff all the time. So I tried to keep doing those things. Problem is, I was in terrible and constant pain all the time doing these things. And so I kept pushing and pushing, trying to deny that, I was in this pain because I really wanted to do these things. But it was really an overpowering sense of pain. And when I would talk to the doctors about it, they said, oh, you need more pain medicine. And they just kept giving me more pain medicine. So as the years went on, these 12 years, nothing really changed. My physical condition didn't appear to really change. I kept doing the same things, but this was not a quality of life that I wanted to have, even though when I talked to other people, some other friends of mine who'd been badly injured at work, they were like, oh, but you do so many things. I was like, yeah, but you have to compare yourself to yourself, and I didn't feel like I really did so many things. And then in the back of my mind, of course, is I'm not supposed to be doing these things too. So this went along until I got to Dr. Shin, and I got into this program. When I first came to the program, and I started hearing Dr. Shin's, he was explaining about how our brains deal with pain and how our brains work. I have a science background. I have a degree in science. I understood what he was talking about in terms of things, but he took it further than I had ever heard it taken before, and I was really resistant to the ideas that he put forth. But one thing that I did notice when I was in the program is that the teachers here, all the instructors, are amazing. I mean, they are all not only competent and have many, many years of training and experience, but they were really excellent instructors. And I felt like if I'm here, whether I agree with Dr. Shen or not, I'm here, I'm gonna get what I can out of this program. So if the teachers told me, you can do this, and I had not been able to do it for 12 years, I tried really hard to do it anyway, because they said I could do it, and I knew that they had all this training and experience. Phil, he taught me body mechanics and posture and how to do things with my damaged parts so that they wouldn't be so damaged anymore. And Bob and Andrea did the hard physical workouts, and Andrea did the yoga also. I was terrible at yoga. My body was so stiff, and I couldn't lie down on my front. I couldn't arch my back, and my arm really hurt, and my knee really hurt. And every time I tried to get into a yoga pose, it was just sad. And Andrea would say, lie down on your front. And I was like, I can't do that. She said, you haven't done it yet. And so after hearing that, from the other instructors as well, I was like, okay, I'm really gonna try this. And yes, it did hurt at first, but I managed to awkwardly get into these different poses. And as the program went along, even though I was still mentally resistant to the ideas I was hearing, my body started to change. And I could see that I was more limber, that I was able to do the hard exercises more quickly and easily. I was getting stronger and I was getting more flexible. And I hadn't been able to do that for 12 years. By the third week here, and I had been on crutches largely because part of the nerve problem is that my lower half tends to go numb unexpectedly, and I fall down. And I did not want that to happen. And so I really clung to the crutches all the time because that was not something I wanted to experience. I had experienced it. So, but at the same time, I so desperately wanted to do the things that I used to do. And so in the third week, one of the people I was in the program with, and I can say to you, please take advantage of each other. You're all going through it together, and you can give each other great support. And the people in my program did that. The man who was next to me said, I have a walking stick. He said, if you're afraid of falling down, he said, I'll let you use my walking stick instead. You can lean on it. I was like, yeah, that would be better than the crutches, So I took his walking stick and I tried it, put down the crutches. And although I didn't stay with the walking stick because for me it was a little bit awkward and kind of off center balance, but by using it, it allowed me to walk without the crutches for the first few times. When we went around, you'll do these miles and half miles and so on. When I went out, I was actually running on my crutches around the big block. And the same man, he saw me and he said, never seen anybody run with crutches before. And so he said, try the walking stick. You can just pick it up and then put it down if you need to. So I tried, and the first time I ran, I loved running. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can run again, it's just the most wonderful feeling. And so at first I leaned the crutches up against the wall, then I put them in my car, and then I left them at home. And it was scary at first to do that, but I do have a service dog also, and she was there to lean on if I did start to fall. And then I thought to myself, I did fall, and I thought to myself, well, why am I falling? And I thought, a big part of the program here is balance. They teach you a lot of ways to keep yourself balanced. And I said, I've got to get better balance. So I worked really hard on my balance, which had gotten poor in those 12 years. And once I got good at the balance, when I would start to fall, I would rebalance myself and I wouldn't fall. And since I got to that point, I have not fallen since. even though I'm numb on my bottom half. So that was pretty amazing to me. And along with that, as those things were happening in my body, there were other things. You know, they taught meditation, mindfulness. There were the discussions about the psychology of our brains and our minds and how we deal with things. I learned that you can actually change your own brain. And I was very resistant to that because what I had learned was the brain is this way, you know, and if you have traumas or whatever, well, they're just there, you know. But I learned in this program, you can change your brain. And I kept hearing about this and how to do it, and I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. Then I thought, I'm going to try it. And I found that the experience of pain, Dr. Shin explains that pain, which I've always associated with, if you feel pain, it's the body's signal to stop doing whatever you're doing because you're going to hurt yourself. And he explained that that's true with right when you have an accident, for example. But chronic pain, the body doesn't deal with very well. And when it gets messed up, that's why you become more and more sensitive to things rather than less and less sensitive as time goes along. So for 12 years, I had gotten extremely sensitive to anything. And he taught me, you can reprogram that. So I thought, whether I believe it or not, I'm going to try this because if it works, this would be amazing. And it worked. And when the pain started to reduce, I said, I can stop taking my pain medication, right? And Dr. Shin said, yes. You know? So over a couple of weeks, I reduced and then eliminated all my pain medication. The remarkable thing about it was, here I've been taking it all this time, thinking I can't stop taking this because if I stop, as much pain as I'm already in, I'm going to be in a whole lot more pain. I won't be able to do anything. But actually, I had gotten to the point in the program with reprogramming my brain, my body getting stronger, that when I stopped, first reduced and then stopped my pain medication, I felt no more pain. And I thought, how can that be? I was taking quite a bit of pain medication, but it wasn't doing anything for me anymore. And Dr. Shin explained why that is true. Over time, it doesn't do anything for you anymore, so everyone feels like you got to keep taking it. But in fact, I said, this is wonderful. I no longer have to take any pain medication. So it was, a slow transformation basically for me. And Leanne, who teaches art and nutrition and things, she is amazing. I haven't done art since I was a kid, but everyone loved art class. We did all kinds of things, but the really remarkable thing about it is, as I was sitting there doing the art, soft music on, my mind was just on its own kind of, and it unleashed creativity in me, not just doing the art, but I found that I was much more open to new ideas and to doing things different ways than I had been before, and the art was a large part of that. So everything that happens here, all those little pieces come together, and as they all worked on me, and the instructors were wonderful because they were always available to talk to you. They would give you individual help. They were looking at everybody in the class and saying, oh, you need to do this way. If you're having trouble with this, try this. They were extremely dedicated. And by the end of the program, I was running 2 to 3 miles a day. I was able to skateboard again. And I put on my hockey skates. I tried that. Basically, all the things that I used to do before, I tried them, individually. I can do them again. And it is not that I'm completely without pain. It's just that I look at my pain differently. And I no longer see it as, oh, better stop that. Now I go, well, I have a little pain here. Why do I have that pain? And I found, for example, when I got pain in my lower back, posture was a big thing. We learned here. And I didn't have good posture. I had been like this on crutches for a long time. I had to redo my posture. But when I redid my posture, and whenever I had pain, I stretched out the way I had been shown in yoga, I was able to make the pain greatly reduce, and then I could go on and do what I needed to do. So, as I say, everything altogether worked for me. And I can only say this program is amazing. I mean, during that 12 years, I believed that this is the best it's going to get, was the way it was. And I feel like now, not only have I recovered the ability to do the things I did before, but also I feel like mentally I'm actually better than I was before, because I'm more open to things and I'm more able to analyze and evaluate things, and in my own body to keep an eye on how things are going and to make adjustments as I need to make them. And it wasn't just me, the other people in the program. We all went through a similar process, everyone a little bit different, but everyone made big improvements as we went through this. So I guess what I'm saying to you guys is this is an amazing opportunity. What you put in, like anything, is what you get out. But if you try, if you listen to what the people tell you and you give it a try, even though it may not make sense to you, and you may say, I don't want to do that because I'm afraid of what will happen. These people don't ask you to do things that you really can't do. And whether you believe in it or not, as I didn't until close to the end, it will work. So that's basically what happened with me. Does anybody have any questions about the program or what happened? Anything you want to ask me?